I want to bring it back to something you mentioned, the hyperinflation of college tuition is something that you don't hear talked about a ton. But growing up in a family where the more degrees you have, the more respected you are, it seems as though it's getting to the point where you brought up where the product is not worth the cost. College, having an undergraduate degree, it's not worth how much you're going to make in the long run. If we're not at that point, we're getting very close.
Yes.
Is there a solution to that? What would you say to that? I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter.
Well, I happen to think that education itself is something that should be a lifelong pursuit. My wife tells me this every day. I mean, and I don't mean to be romanticize it, but, learning is a pretty good thing, Yeah. And I tell my grandchildren that, in school sometimes almost discourage them from learning, They got rote things. I hate school, Grandpa, So I think learning is important. And I think we probably have to, in this day and age, revolutionize education. But I personally believe in my soul is if you want to get a graduate degree, we need you. And you shouldn't be going in debt. There should not be impediments. We got to figure a way to fund it. But bottom line is anybody. I want to say to every kid in America, you're interested in physics, you're interested in science, you're interested in engineering, you're going to do it. I don't care what your income is. We will, in one way or another, you're going to achieve that. And you know why? Because as a nation, we need you.
You hear a lot of these people saying, especially folks that are attached to these big corporations, like America doesn't have enough engineers. America doesn't have all these things, so we have to go higher abroad. It's like, well, I don't know, maybe if you had access to billions of dollars, there's something that you could do to make sure that we could grow them here. Now, I'm not putting that 100% on them, but you would hope that there would be some sort of benevolence that would recognize a problem here.
Not benevolence, it's self-interest.
Ooh, so reward their own selfishness.
We need engineers. All right, we need people who know how to build tunnels. All right. In case you haven't heard, there is a climate crisis. All right. How do you transform our energy system? Easier said than done. We need some really, really smart people to figure out how we create cheap, sustainable energy, right?
Yeah.
All right. I will send you to graduate school.
Thank you.
Dearly.
Yeah.
He needs it.
We need
badly.
You. We need you. Yeah. And that's what we should be thinking about as a nation.
And as far as subsidizing that, do we have room in the budget? And where is the best place to pull it?
Subsidize. What does that mean? We're subsidizing this bill right now, the so-called reconciliation bill, Trump's big, beautiful bill. We got 200 in the House. The Republicans are putting in $235 billion over a 10-year period to go to the top 0.2%. So if your billionaire father is going to leave you money, the exemption is now up to a married couple of $30 million that you don't have to pay any taxes on. So this goes to the top 0.2%. Do we have enough money? This is what you got to get in your head. We have enough money in this country to do any goddamn thing you want to do. In this particular budget, we're now spending $1 trillion on the military. They want to spend $150 billion more. We're spending more than the next 9 nations combined. So what we're doing is giving tax breaks to the rich, spending more money on the military, and then we're going to cut Medicaid. So the way in this country, literally, and by the way, when I say these things, they're not radical ideas. All right, how much does it cost to go to college in Sweden?
Nothing.
Oh, wow, no kidding. But that must be the healthcare system is really expensive, right?
It must be.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to have healthcare in Sweden?
Nothing.
Oh, my God. Nothing. Childcare must be really off the wall. How much is that? In other words, if you start off with a value system that says we're going to use, and there are rich people in Sweden, believe me, but it's a value system that says, look, we're in this together as a people. We want the best educated people. We want our kids to do well. We want everybody to have health care for a lot of reasons. Sweden does it. Norway does it. Finland does it.
The pushback we often hear is the population in America is too big to support this. Is that
bullshit.
True?
That is just... That is the pushback. And we're a multicultural, multiracial, and they're kind of a homogeneous. Yeah, so what? We're richer than they are, as a matter of fact. Well, Norway is particularly rich. They have a lot of oil money, but we can do it.
So here's my suggestion for that. I think if a single state provided universal health care, let's say, for example, Vermont, and they prove that it could be done, they would put so much fucking pressure
Yes.
on every
All right,
other
good point.
state to do it.
It's like legalizing weed.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen it happen with weed, right? Like one state does it, starts to make a lot of other states, oh, maybe we should sue it. People are only incentivized by their own salvation, unfortunately. How do we prove that? Which state is going to go make it happen for them and then make New York look embarrassing? We have all this wealth and we can't provide health care to our citizens?
Well, I think you make a very good point. The problem is the people in the insurance industry and the drug industry understand that as well. So they're not dummies. They understand, oh, geez, Vermont managed to provide free health care to all of their people. That will become a model for the rest of the country, and we're up the creek.
So they fight it tooth and nail. And how do they fight? Like, for example, what are they doing?
God, Jesus.
Right,
Look, in a small state, you buy you just have lobbyists there up the kazoo and put advertising on. I ran it. Look, I am an advocate of what we call Medicare for all, expanding Medicare to cover every man, woman, and child in the country.
Yes.
All right. Oh, and the argument, we had 30-second ads. Bernie Sanders wants to raise your taxes outrageously. Take away the health insurance that you have. Well, what they forget to tell you is that you're not going to be paying any more out-of-pocket, any more deductibles, any more premiums. You're going to get higher wages because your boss doesn't have to spend a fortune on health care to cover you. They forgot to tell you that.
So it's like your taxes go up $6,000, but your health care yearly cost goes from $12,000 to zero.
That's right.
So you just save $6,000.
All right. And the healthcare system don't get me going on that one. We're spending twice as much per capita as the people in Sweden who have a better healthcare system than we do. Why?
Yeah.
Well, maybe coincidentally, insurance companies, made, what did they made? 100, I think it made 70 billion last year. Yeah. Drug companies that charge us the highest prices for drugs made 100 billion. So it is a healthcare system designed to make what? Drug companies and insurance companies rich.
How do you keep the quality of insurance, high, or quality of healthcare high? Because anecdotally, I hear from people in the UK and Canada, their healthcare is not very good because it's, I guess, subsidized.
The UK is under a lot of pressure right now, and that's true. And that's a political decision. They got the same factors that would impact the state. The big money interests are putting a lot of pressure trying to destroy the UK healthcare system, and its quality is going down. Although it is still a very beloved institution in England. In Canada, there are waiting lines. It ain't a perfect system by any means. But don't believe all the right-wing stuff. In Canada, if you ask the people in Canada, do they like their healthcare system as opposed to America's, theirs come out much better.
Yeah.